UFC Fight Night. Vettori versus Cannonier going down this Saturday night at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Headlined by two marquee middleweights in Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, and Jared, the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. We're going to like quick pick a number of these fights, guys, right? All the way up to the main event.
Yeah, Mike, I was just going to say to you, in the interest of time, I wouldn't even bother doing your intro until we get to like the co-main.
Yep.
You can just say the same thing, fight and boom.
Love it. We're going to start with Dalby and Salikhov. But before we do this one, are there any other fighters or names that you guys just want to quickly just pinpoint and be like, make sure you guys watch this fight?
I like the Kyung Ho Kang Christian Quinones fight. I think that's kind of a fun technique versus like pressure power fight. That's a fun one. I'm interested to see Ronnie Lawrence and Daniel Argueta. A couple others. Solid on the card.
Nice. Zach Pagua, Modestas Bukauskas will be on there as well. Jimmy Flick, Alessandro Costa is also on there. It's a good fight. So, a couple good fights, like you said. Just nothing of real consequence, I guess.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Nicolas Dalby taking on Muslim Salikhov in the welterweight division. Omar, give us your pick.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight. I think stylistically, it's a very close and competitive fight. I'm just going to really flip a coin here. I think I'm just going to go with Dalby here by decision.
Mark?
So, Muslim is definitely going to win round one of this fight. Dalby's not going to be wrestling. They're going to be exchanging strikes, and Muslim Salikhov is the better striker with better technique and more varied attacks. But, man, Dalby just never stops coming. And he's a big dude. He's going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage here. He's going to push for all 15 minutes and see if that pace can take over. And it's worked recently, so I don't know. I'm going to ride with it one more time. I'll say by round two, he kind of starts to overwhelm Salikhov a bit and doesn't let Salikhov be pretty in there. And I'll say he wins a split decision.
Who does? Dalby?
Yes. And Omar,
okay.
You took Dalby? No, you took Dalby.
I did. I did
Dalby.
By decision. Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be an interesting fight. This is a fight of the irresistible force versus the immovable object. Dalby's never been finished, and Salikhov is a finisher, man. Of his 19 wins, 15 have come by way of a knockout or submission, mostly knockouts. In this case, I will go with Salikhov, the guy I think who's going to have the bigger power in there. But I will split the difference and say that Dalby's never been finished, so I'll say Salikhov by UD.
I forgot to say that Salikhov is favored. He's almost 2-1 favorite in this fight.
I love his nickname, the King of Kung Fu. Okay. Let's keep marching here. Raoni Barcelos versus Miles Johns going down. It is the featured bout of the prelims going down to the bantamweight division. Mark, you go.
Barcelos is -230. Miles Johns +190. It is a 1-inch reach advantage for Barcelos, so pretty close size-wise. But I think this is a levels fight. Yes, we just saw Raoni get KO'd in his last fight by Umar Nurmagomedov. Yes, Miles Johns does carry power, but I just think Raoni Barcelos is at a completely different level than Miles Johns and should be able to win this fight everywhere it goes. So I will say he does that, and I'll say he eventually finds an opening on the mat and wins this by third round submission.
Omar?
Yeah, I have a similar take. I do think that the fight will stay on the feet. I just don't see Miles Johns wanting to go down to the ground with Barcelos, and I don't think it'll end up going down there unless Barcelos wants it to, but I think he'll have so much success on the feet. I don't think it'll make it there. So I'm going to go with a round 1 KO for Raoni Barcelos.
I think we're unanimous on this one. I think Miles Johns is a really talented, well-rounded guy, but I think Barcelos is clearly the more talented of the two here. I think he's going to hop right back in the win column here. I think he's going to hand Miles Johns another TKO loss. I'm going to say he's going to get a TKO. And I will say round 3 against Miles Johns. Okay. Manuel Torres versus Nicolas Motta. Let's see. Where is this one on the card? Wait, where is this fight? Is this on the card?
Second fight on the main card. Second fight on the main card.
There it is. Lightweight division. Yep. Omar, take it.
Yeah, this is another interesting fight. Two relatively newer guys to the UFC. I think they've both done the Contender Series. They both had a couple fights in the UFC. Both of these guys are bangers, which is, I think, why this fight is such a good matchup, but it makes it really difficult to figure out exactly who's going to win this fight. This is another one that, for me, is really just going to be a toss-up in the air. I'm going to go with Manuel Torres here. I like his striking. I like his distance management. I think he gets it done here in the first round. I'm going to go with KO, first round.
Ooh, baby, Mark.
So he's the favorite. He's minus 190. Nicolas Motta is plus 150. Torres is an inch taller. He's got 2.5 inches of reach on his side. And he looked really good in his debut when he took out Frank Camacho. I was impressed. I thought his hands looked dangerous. Motta's dangerous too, but I also think his chin has kind of been there to be hit at times. So I'm going to say it's that simple. Manuel Torres puts his hands on Motta's chin, and I agree. I will say it is a round 1 knockout.
I agree. I think it's disconcerting that, given Motta's record, he has been finished 4 times. He only has 17 professional fights, and to be finished that many times at this point is a bit disconcerting. If he had like 35 pro fights and been finished a couple times, it's like, okay. That being said, it's combined with the fact that Torres has never been finished with punches and also is a finisher himself and very well-rounded. So give me Manuel Torres, I will say round 1 knockout. Okay, moving on up to the featherweight division here.
We all said round 1 knockout, huh? Wow.
Oh, did we? Oh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Featherweight division, Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. Mark?
Pat is minus 190. Almeida is a plus 155 dog. 3 inches of height and 1 of reach on the Almeida side. I really like Almeida. He's a crazy, vicious striker. I'm curious to see how he'll do here in terms of staying on his feet against Pat Sabatini. It's definitely a good test where we're going to learn about Almeida. But I'm going to go with Pat. I know we saw him get badly KO'd by Damon Jackson in his last fight. But if that had never happened, I feel like I wouldn't even be thinking twice about taking Pat here. So I'm going to trust him. I'll say the wrestling and the grappling carry the day, and that he'll just look a level above when it comes to the ground game. And I'll say Pat Sabatini, UD. But he's definitely going to have to be careful because there's a lot of heat coming from Almeida.
Okay, Omar.
Yeah. I originally was thinking about going with Pat Sabatini as well. Just on paper, I think, he's a couple different areas of success that I think he can take. But Lucas Almeida is a dangerous guy, man. And I don't think if Pat Sabatini doesn't have a way to get this fight to the ground, I think Almeida finds a bit more success on the feet. And I think just for a little bit of sports, a little bit of fun here, since Mark went in that direction, I think I'm going to go with Almeida for this one here. And I will take Almeida by second round submission.
Yeah, I like both of these guys quite a bit, actually. That being said, I love the skill set of Lucas Almeida. I think he's a very, very exciting featherweight up and coming. I'm going to roll with him this time, although I hate to pick against Pat Sabatini because I really do like him a lot. I'm going to say Almeida gets a TKO round 3. Okay, oh no, not the co-main event, excuse me. In the middleweight division, Armen Petrosyan, I will say, re-welcomes Christian Leroy Duncan to the UFC. I'll go first because I'm going to have not the easiest time picking this fight anyway because Christian Leroy Duncan is an undefeated prospect who came into the UFC 7-0. Unfortunately, his opponent Dusko Todorovic busted his knee during the fight. If I recall, was it like it was just like in a random like clinch exchange?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I remember the same.
I think I remember Christian Leroy Duncan looking pretty good throughout that fight, but definitely was a disappointing way that the fight ended towards the middle of the first round, really. So hard to pick. That being said, I'll roll with the guy who's undefeated, and I'll say that he's going to get it done by UD. Mark?
Okay, he being Christian Leroy Duncan is the -150 favorite. Armen Petrosyan is +125 dog, so pretty tight odds. It's an 8-inch reach advantage for CLD. That is so much. And Petrosyan isn't a wrestler.
They're the same height.
He's a striker through and through.
Yeah.
Yep, correct.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Wow.
So, I was saying Petrosyan's not a wrestler either. Like, he's a striker through and through. So, he's going to have to deal with that all fight long. And he is really good, Petrosyan. He's a really skilled striker, but Duncan is too. And I just think Duncan is too dangerous for that reach to not eventually matter and spell death. So, I will say CLD round 2 TKO.
Wow.
Yeah. I pretty much have the same take. I was going to go with round 1 TKO, but the reality is I think Petrosyan has enough wherewithal to be able to at least get through the one round, even if he does get hurt or anything like that. So normally in this case, I think I would go round 1, but I'm going to give Petrosyan the benefit of the doubt and say he at least makes it to round 2. So I will also go round 2 TKO.
Okay, that brings us to the main event of the evening, UFC Fight Night.
Co-main.
Oh, fuck my ass.
You're a mess.
I'm a fucking mess. Why did I skip this one? And we were talking about this one earlier. Okay, lightweight division. Armen Tsarukyan versus Joaquim Silva. Omar, you go.
I got to be honest, man. I'm a really big fan of Armen Tsarukyan. He is that is a wild dude to watch in the cage, man. His strength, his ability to grapple, the power that he brings with his striking is, he's a really nice package altogether. I have a lot of confidence in him. Did that sound weird? It got weird, right? I felt it. A little bit. I felt it when I said it.
Really nice package.
Yeah, I felt it when I said it.
He's got a really big schlong.
Joaquim Silva's listen, you shouldn't be saying that, Mr. Fuck me in the ass over here.
Yeah.
You're the one doubling down over here, not me.
You're right.
But Joaquim Silva was as good as he is, man. I have a little bit more confidence in Armen Tsarukyan. I think on paper he should be able to take this one, to be honest, no problem. So I'm going to go with Armen Tsarukyan here by unanimous decision. Though I wouldn't be surprised if he submits the shit out of this kid.
Submits the shit out of him.
That's happened in the that's happened in the octagon. So maybe I shouldn't say that because that's
what's
an
your
actual
pick?
thing that has happened. So I'm going to go with Armen Tsarukyan by unanimous decision.
Tsarukyan by UD. Okay.
Yes.
Mark.
Yeah, so Armen Tsarukyan is a -1,000 favorite. Joaquim Silva is +650 as the underdog.
He's not -1,000.
He's -1,000.
Wow. I mean, I believe it.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I've been saying. It's a stupid fight. So the stats quick: 1-inch height advantage for Silva, but 3.5-inch reach advantage for Armen. But yeah, it's a dumb fight. We all know it's a dumb fight. You can look at the odds and see that it's a dumb fight, even if you don't know who the fighters are. It's stupid. Joaquim Silva he's not a bad fighter, but he's lost 3 of his last 5. He is by no means on the level of an Armen Tsarukyan. And Armen's going to do whatever he wants in this fight. Maybe he wants to work on his striking. Maybe he wants to work on his wrestling. Maybe he really wants to try to end this thing by a submission. Whatever he wants to work on is what we're going to see because he's just better. So my guess is that we get maybe about 3 rounds of a clear beating followed by a ground and pound mercy type finish in round 4. So that is what I'll go with. Armen Tsarukyan round 4 TKO.
I don't hate it.
Let's see. It's a 5-round fight.
It is.
Sorry,
not.
did I say?
You said
I
4.
I meant to say. Yeah, sorry. I meant to say 2 rounds of a beating, followed by a mercy type finish in round 3. I'm not sure
I
why
see.
my brain said 3 and 4. I didn't realize I
Okay.
said that. Yes, sorry.
I mean, I was gonna take Tsarukyan anyway, but man, those odds are crazy. Yeah, I think Joaquim Noah is a very talented guy, but Tsarukyan is obviously the future of the lightweight division. You know what I really like about Armen Tsarukyan? I like his 1960s Beatles haircut. It's just like right out of like Paul McCartney, 1966, plopped right on this Russian guy's head. Love it. I like Tsarukyan in this fight, and I'm going to say he's going to get an exciting finish over a dangerous Brazilian lightweight in his own right. Give me Tsarukyan 3rd round TKO. Okay, middleweight division, which is the main event between Marvin Vettori and Jared Cannonier. Here we go. UFC Fight Night going down at the Apex once again in Las Vegas, Nevada. We will introduce first, out of the blue corner probably, I think, is Jared Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla, the 39-year-old out of Anchorage, Alaska, 16-6 as a pro. 8 of his wins have come by way of finish, 10 of them knockouts, coming off of a split decision victory over Sean Strickland back in December. He will be standing across from Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, the 29-year-old out of Italy. He is 19-6 with 1 draw, 9 victories by way of submission. Add 2 more knockouts to that. He also is coming off of 1 win over Roman Dolidze back in March of this year. Omar, why don't you kick us off?
My analysis, honestly, is pretty short and sweet. Jared Cannonier, I think, is a decent fighter, but he shits the bed quite a bit. And I think he does it in fights that really matter. He's got a lot of power, but the reality is there's a lot of moments where he doesn't really open up his hands. Marvin Vettori has not really lost against anybody who doesn't matter, right? Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. I think somewhere, even going further down than that, I don't even think really matters at this point in his career. But fighting somebody against Jared Cannonier, I think he's just a better fighter. I think his striking will be more on point. I don't think his power, the power that he brings, will be a problem. I don't think it'll be as much as Jared Cannonier, but it doesn't mean that the power that he brings isn't going to hurt Jared Cannonier, because it very well will. I think Vettori's movement should be enough to stay away from a lot of the big shots. I'm sure he'll get tagged every now and again, but I don't think anything will land particularly flush. And I think the overall worker of this fight will be Marvin Vettori from bell to bell. So I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori here with a nice, dominant, unanimous decision win over Jared Cannonier, proving that he should be in the top 4 or 5 discussion almost all the time.
Mark.
Okay, we have what is basically a pick'em here. Marvin Vettori is minus 115. Jared Cannonier is minus 105. So pretty much a pick'em. It's a 1-inch height advantage for Vettori. It is a 3.5-inch reach advantage for Cannonier, which is a solid reach advantage here. This is a great matchup. It's one that absolutely feels like we should have seen by now. I'm excited to find out who's the better man between these two. It's kind of always, you talk about them at the same level here. Now we finally get that answer. And for me, I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori as well. I think that the activity of Marvin Vettori is the X factor for me here in terms of winning these rounds. He's way more willing to come forward, to throw shots, eat something if he has to make sure that he is landing and earning points. I think he'll be moving Cannonier back. I do think Cannonier is the smarter fighter. I think he's the one who can maybe make the reads and make the adjustments on the fly more so than Vettori, who I always feel like is a little bit one note in that regard when it comes to making adjustments in the fight. But Vettori has a fantastic chin. I trust it to hold up. He can even look to wrestle here, I think, in a worst-case scenario. And I've just never been that big of a believer in Jared Cannonier as a top guy. And Sean Strickland almost exposed it. I thought he won that fight. And I think Vettori is the guy who does expose it. So I am going to say it is a clear decision as well. I'm going to say Marvin Vettori 49-46 behind pressure and activity.
Yep.
Personally, I'm not super high on either one of these two guys for some strange reason. There's aspects of both of their games that I like.
I wouldn't say I'm super high on Vettori either. I get that.
I'm gonna pick against my better judgment here. I like the points you guys made about Vettori. In some ways, I do think that Vettori is not the best matchup for Cannonier because Vettori has such a good motor, especially as a middleweight. He has one of the best motors at middleweight, I'd say. That being said,
for sure.
I'm going to go with feeling for this one. And in spite of the fact that Marvin Vettori has never been knocked out or finished at all, for that matter, I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit. I'm going to say Jared Cannonier, with his big power, hands Marvin Vettori his first knockout or TKO loss. And I'm going to say it happens in the second round.
Wow. That would be something.
Yeah, that'd be wild. That would be wild. On the marquee for sure with that shit, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yep. Jesus. I mean, Vettori's a fucking tank, dude.
I mean, this is...
He is.
At this point, I was thinking, because Omar was saying, like, top 5, whatever. At this point, the winner of this fight pretty much gets to call themselves the third best middle behind Izzy and Whitaker.
Sure. Especially
with Pereira gone from the division.
Right, if he's going up to light heavy, yep.
Yes, I mean, they're sitting, whoever wins this fight is sitting pretty for sure.